Hello everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 293. Today is Saturday, October 26, 2019, and I'm glad you could join me today. Flip my thumbs, okay? I was making some coffee to drink, and I had to do an interesting maneuver. So I ended up running it under cold water while waiting for it to steep, brew, whatever it is, however you AeroPress. So, not too crazy, but definitely something to think about. And I probably should slurp this fairly quickly because it's a little late for coffee now. It's much closer to dinner time than tea time. So, what is it? It's been pretty chill week this week. A lot of rain. So, sadly not oodles of knitting, but at the very least sun. And there was a decent amount of knitting last week, for example. So, what would it be? It appears the 2-week cadence of podcasts will continue for the foreseeable future. Would it be like the Dear Sweet Lovable one was open to the idea. It was a little bit challenging to have privacy in the studio. And well, I could record in the bathtub. Probably not ideal. So, I could record outside. That would have totally been an option. So what I just threw on is my newly finished sweater. So this is the Vitamin D by Heidi Kermeyer that I knit out of Claudia Handpaint's Contemplation Lace in the Lone Star color. And this is a 100% linen sweater, just in time for the cold weather. Yay! So I've managed to wear this a couple of times actually, because some of the days haven't been cold. But what was it? Yesterday, 49, pretty much all day. Whatever. We got rewarded by a beautiful fall day today, so I'm not complaining. October is definitely the most pleasant month in Texas, so you just accept the rain, because the rain makes it a beautiful temperature outside, so not too crazy. I will see about recording a little segment that I'll tack on somewhere in the episode. I don't know, perhaps now, where I'll just sort of flounce around it a little bit, because you can't quite see the full majesty of it with me sitting down, but there is quite a lot of this sweater, but otherwise it just hangs. So it probably is a little bit more floofy flouncy than the designer intended, but that was me making the most of my short row reading mistake. It was all there, it just wasn't I didn't read that far. Whatever. So the story is that it's done now. I ended up binding off fairly loosely and then using a knit two together style bind off on this. One of them is looser than the other, but not too crazy. Does it lay perfectly flat? Not quite. Is it probably close enough? Hopefully. One option was to just leave it as an unfinished edge, but apparently I needed to make that choice a long time ago. When I cast on. And to be quite frank, I think it's fine. Do I know how much yarn I use? No. Could I have knit more rows of the bottom, or knit like another repeat of this bottom thing? Probably not, and probably I would have wanted to knit 2 more anyways if that was the case, and definitely didn't have enough for that. So overall, not too crazy. It's very strange wearing this with like a dark shirt underneath because it's a very airy fabric. Like how the fabric looks on my skin tone is pretty different than how it looks when it's against a dark colored shirt or something like that. And maybe some of that here, you can definitely see a decent portion of the sheep through the sweater. So I'm pretty happy with how things have turned out. I don't know whether or not there would be any, like, if there were to be any modifications, it may be the case of, like, changing the bind off, or changing the garter edge on the sleeve, maybe. Like, it's possible that I would actually need to drop down to a 1 in order to have that be perfectly matching the gauge of the fabric it's going to, but it's a small thing. I haven't washed it yet, I haven't blocked it yet, but because it's linen, it's something you can just throw in the washing machine, so not too crazy. The other thing is that you would treat your linen knits more like you would treat your cotton regular clothes. So, so this is the case where this is a washing machine item. And it's already feels really nice. So far, so good. Pretty happy with the results. So I'll add some flouncing somewhere about here. Alrighty, dight. So this is my finished vitamin D. So not too crazy, but there is quite a lot of fabric in the bottom of this guy. So it does maybe bunch like a slight amount in the back, and I think that just has to do with like how much fabric is in here. It's possible I also did the decreases wrong in the back and had a higher rate than I was supposed to. But like this is definitely a sweater where you put it on and then it's staying in place, staying where it needs to be. What would it be? But maybe, what would it be? It's not maybe like the current style right now, but I don't really care. And whatever. So it has fairly fitted sleeves. They may be loosening a little bit towards the end right now, but whatever. Such is life. But overall it's a very easy to wear, easy to throw on sort of sweater. There may be some shirts in my closet I wouldn't wear it with, but I think that's the case with any brightly colored sweater, is that you're gonna get some, or what would it be, unless it's neutral, you can't wear it with everything. So it is really pretty, very like easy to move around in, very flowy when I'm walking around. So yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's definitely the case where I can wrap this all the way around and still have lots of floof and ease down here. I don't think that I would wear it with a shawl pin like this, but I could if I was feeling a bit chilly, then I do have the option of looking slightly dorky doing this. And you know what? I don't care looking like a dork, so it's okay. But yeah, no, so I'm really liking the swing, I'm liking all of that, so that's fun. And like, so much sweater. It was like full wingspan sort of dealio. So not too crazy, but vitamin D, it's done, it's floofy, I'm happy, so we're good to go. And it's already in the rotation, so not too crazy there. Probably on the girliest end of a sweater that I would end up making. Would it be? Otherwise I think I'm would be probably more interested in ones that are like geometric shapes or cables or color work or that sort of thing. So good to mix it up. So there you go. Vitamin D. And, or what would it be? Or I will know that I've added the flouncing because I have taken off the sweater. So that's how we're gonna do it. It was like leaving breadcrumbs for me for editing purposes because I don't tend to do a lot of editing, and that's fine. I don't do. So finished object, yay! I started that in June. It's okay. The other project that got quite a lot of love was my grandpa sock. So this is my third grandpa sock. I think I had this cast on last time I talked. And I have a whole finished sock with the wildest pooling you ever did see. So my grandpa has size 12 feet, so I did some searching on the internet and figured out how long it needed to be. And really stinking wild pooling on this, so like reverse direction, whole bit. It's pretty crazy looking, but and then sort of how the toe is totally different. So I did an Eye of Partridge heel flap, which looks super good with this. It was like that perfect stitch count for that. And then it had some very tight pooling so it was very stripy in the gusset, and then went back to, I don't know what my gauge is doing here, whatever, just watching it wobble. I was thinking it would be similar to this, but I think because the bottom had more stockinette, it was a slightly tighter gauge. And small changes in gauge matter a lot, so this is like a little broken rib with slip stitch patterns. It was called Jack. And I am knitting it out of Misa Twin in the Drachenfels color, or something like that. Drachenfels? I think it's Drachenfels. It's the same one the original sample of the Hitchhiker was knit out of. So it is a dark blue with like a little bit of purple, where this very orange leaning red collides with it. So much fun to knit. That was why I decided to go with this. That's why I decided to go with this yarn, because it was fun to knit. I was going for all of the fun pooling on this, and I have a decent start on the second sock now. I definitely dropped my little circ somewhere between the hydroponics store and my husband's apartment. And it wasn't worth retracing our steps to go find it again. It just sort of sucked. But it turned out that a tornado hit Dallas while I was gone, which was unfortunate. Like, the corporate headquarters where I work took a direct hit, and the building has been closed all week and like ripped off decent portions of the roof in places, so that was unfortunate. My building is north of where the direct hit had occurred, and so I decided on Tuesday to go to the local yarn shop and buy some needles, buy a replacement set of size 0 9-inch circs, and I got halfway between, like, I'm guessing it's probably maybe a mile. I got like half a mile, and I could see the possibility of me turning off and heading back home instead of going straight towards the yarn shop, and I decided to call the owner and be like, oh good, you answered, you're open. Do you have 9-inch circs? Because I don't want to, whatever, get through this. And she did, and I made it, and it was fine. It turned out that the reason why there was a tremendous backup was one of the lights where the highway across the road that I was on had 2 seconds of green. It was pretty bad. So my hearts go out to all of the families that were affected, and also to my coworkers who have been like loitering in my building because they can't. These must be the people who work as a place, not in action. So whatever. So there have been a lot of people who refugees in my building, work refugees. So, but what is it? It was the case where I knew that I knew that something was going up because I got a text from the person I'm staying with me, like, is there anything in the fridge that'll go bad? I was like, keep the door closed. I'll deal with it when I get back. I was like, it was pretty intense. So, survived that. What would it be? Those tornadoes went through like some very expensive zip codes, so hopefully everyone has insurance and it'll be okay. And no one died. But it's impressive looking at it was very impressive looking at the damage. Like, Mother Nature's no joke. So that was the story there. I did make it. I did buy my needles. I actually hung out today at the local yarn shop because would it be? Luckily, I'm into some free time. There's going to be more time to knit. There's going to be less stress. I'm a pretty happy camper. But there still will be, I think, that every 2 week thing going forward, so whatever, such is life. Or it's looking like that every other week thing is going to be going through until, whatever, the rest is going to be like this till the end of 2019. So, whatever. It is what it is. Not too crazy. Yeah, no, it'd be the case where today was a little bit crazy because I had to like figure out more plane ticket stuff and all that, so. Not too crazy, just like a little crazy. So, I think that was the text that just landed right now. So, second sock going, new needles purchased, my signatures are fine, thank God, because the signature needles, I would walk back and find where in the world they went. But the high sharps, not worth the journey. I probably could have, but we ended up walking to the hydroponic store, so it was like, and let me tell you, they care about, like, this is also one of those hilarious things that happen. So there are legal ways to grow pot, and there are legal ways to grow pot, and the hydroponic store serves all of these people. My husband was going there because he needed high concentration hydrogen peroxide for his fish tank, and the guy was like, well, do you want to join our rewards program? It was like, you need to give us a nickname, because the police would be able to search people if you had your real name in their rewards program for the hydroponic store. But if you have a funny nickname, no big deal. No address, no problem. So it was very hilarious reading the names on the bottles. Like, this was like a warehouse, like, we're gonna set, like, not like a big box store size, but maybe like an Ace Hardware size sort of store, full of stuff to grow weed. All of the good liquids. But it just cracked me up. It was the case where he's like, gave his name, and then it was like, no, there are a lot of those. So I think he's going to change his alias the next time he goes by, but to something involving fish tanks, so he'll remember. But I'd be like, only in San Francisco. Well, maybe only in California, but whatever. And I've picked up my Hohi sweater again. So this had taken a break. It doesn't even look like anything right now. I had taken a break on this because I wanted to finish my other sweater. I cast this on for the Hohi Fall Cow, which started in September. There hasn't been a lot of love on this bad boy. I don't even know why I'm knitting. Maybe I'm knitting a row on it because it'll be less awkward, but it might be more awkward after I do that. So, let's see. So I started this for the Hoi Fall Cow. I think the Hoi Fall Cow ends at the end of November, so there might be some hope. A little hope. Like, after I finish the tricky parts, like, the rest of it's just knitting in the round forever until the end, so it shouldn't be terrible. It's like, whatever. So I am knitting the V-neck boxy Hoi Locatelli, and I'm knitting this out of 2 yarns. I'm knitting this out of you see, this is the problem with not working out in a long time. It'd be like, oh, it is Shipui Silk Cloud, which is their mohair silk blend, which is the bee's knees, and Pebble. So the Silk Cloud is in the Abyss colorway because it's black, and the Pebble is in Blueprint because I'm always on brand. Always. It would be like all blue forever and ever, amen. So, like, and to be fair, I do have a non-blue sweater quantity in the stash right now, so we're not terrible. Not terrible. But, that means, like, I'm off-brand. What were you thinking about that? So, I am knitting this all on the same needle right now. I may be filled with regret later. Whatever. I'll have to figure out how, or whatever. I had to, like, take a moment and try to figure out that I was actually doing things right. So, not too crazy. Alright. Sorry, counting. Okay. See, and it was completely pointless to pick up and do a row on this because I'm not going to show it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to show you it this way. Okay. Whatever. Such is life. So, like, it was already in the best possible state that it could have been in. And, like, would it be? It's a little bit funny because, and I don't know if this was like me doing the instructions wrong or just nothing at all, but it'd be the case where, like, one side does look different than the other, and I'm pretty sure I felt these same feelings on the last one, so I followed the instructions as best I was able, and this is the result that I'm going to have at the end. I am doing like a little bit of a mashup with this pattern because I also am holding this very floofy yarn with it. It's probably going to be the most luxurious sweater I've ever knit, perhaps ever, unless I buy a boho kit, which is a possibility, and then they'd be like tied. Like, not too crazy. But it feels so nice. Like, I wasn't an early adopter to the mohair silk bandwagon, but it's so nice. And what would it be? Part of the reason why it's ridiculous is that, like, these aren't big skeins, and they were normal prices, and even though it was on like a ridiculous sale, it's still insane. But it's yarn I have. I'm knitting it for it. I'm using it for its intended purpose, and we're just gonna go with it. I just had to laugh myself that I did get it in the right spot, and then I put it in the wrong spot. Do the pair of rows to make it fixed. And honestly, I'm almost done. Never mind, I'm not almost done with the shirt. It's okay. So, what else do I want to say about this? So it's picked up again. I knit on it quite a lot on the airplane, and I definitely had a moment where I read instructions for metric, and I should have like been a little bit more patient or something, and figured out that that was the case. So I over knit the back, and I was gonna fix it earlier this week, and then I remembered that it's mohair silk held double with my merino cashmere silk, and nobody has time to do that level of detangling. And I decided that the best option was going to be to seam. So what's going to happen is that right now the armhole is 2 inches too long, and I'm going to knit my right and left fronts 2 inches too long, and then I will mattress stitch it up to where it needs to be, and that will be much happier. That's going to be perfect. And will it be a little bit painful to mattress stitch in a mohair silk and merino cashmere silk yarn? Yes. But it will be way less worse than frocking 2 inches of close to my wingspan worth of knitting. Because, yeah. So let me bring this in closer. It's gorgeous. Really, really, like, this is doing a pretty good job of sort of showing what's going on. There we go. So, really gorgeous fabric. I really love how this is turning out, how you have like light spots and dark spots, because the pebble yarn is light and dark. So the pebble yarn is light and dark. Just slowly back up until it comes into focus, maybe. Okay, whatever. So the pebble yarn is light and dark, and then the mohair silk is very dark. So you have your shade, tint, and tone all at once. Beautiful. Or your light tone and shade all at once. Perfect. So it's really gorgeous. It's going to be a little while before I have sufficient front. At some point I will need to pay attention to the directions. I do think it is turning out really cool looking. It is not too crazy of sort of a seam where I ended up doing the picked up edge. Probably a better pickup job than I have been doing in the past. So that's the case where, I guess in the past, I would do just one leg, and now I'm doing 2 legs, and it's really a gorgeous seamless sort of thing, so I don't know why I did it wrong before. Not worth it. So, and it's just a pleasure working with this yarn. So I have just, or if I hold it here, I just have like a little wee bit of the front, but it's a start. Some is better than none. So I'll be working this for a little while, and then at some point I'll have like the V-neck shaping, and go from there. It's possible that I'm just knitting this until I get to the part where the V would join. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one I'm getting to first. Shouldn't be too crazy. So this is getting some love now too. Most of the love is going to the sock, but I'm carrying both in my bag right now because I I'm not carrying a lot of stuff, or I'm not carrying all of the yarn at once. I actually only have 4 total skeins wound anyways. But I will have to be a little bit careful because I haven't broken the yarn for the other part. So, and one should be careful with the mohair silk. So, it isn't a good idea to tempt fate too much because, and I've used up most of this ball, so it may be time to wind one more of these little blue guys. The yardage of these little blue guys is way less than of the mohair silk, so the mohair silk is much more of like a true lace weight sort of weight. But I can definitely see doing this more often. I don't know if I would continue going with shibui or not, but so far so good. Enjoying myself, enjoying this project. Definitely a treat yourself sort of moment when I brought this yarn. And now I get to treat myself while I'm doing it, so not too crazy. So, should be good. But I'll put that away for the time being. It was definitely the case where, I don't know if I think I woke up a little bit earlier than usual today. And so I would just seem to be missing some beads, so I switched to this project because I was struggling a little bit with the sock, which should be put in its bag now where it belongs. So since I was struggling with the sock a little bit and like blowing by the marker, like yeah, should probably do something else. So what I can't show you is that I did start my Wild Onion Bat Spin. So the colorway name was Lemur, and it was sort of like teals and blues and browns with all sorts of crazy stuff in it. Like there's a something texture that sort of reminded me maybe of like a I do believe the technical term would be Kato. And maybe that's an abbreviation of the technical term, but it'd be the case where it's like crazy algae stuff that the Dursuit level one keeps in this fish tank. Some sparkle, and so I took that bat, I dissed it back in July, I brought it with me to potentially spin at SSK, didn't touch it at all, and I finally just left it in San Francisco, so now it's my spinning project in San Francisco. My beachhead. It was like, currently my stash is 5 ounces of fat in a bag. So I started spinning that on the Bosworth. I got some amount into it. I decided to wind everything into little balls to just keep everything contained. So, as you can see here, I've got my wheel in place. I don't remember how I did this last time. I think because it's a pain to bring the wheel when you're sitting on the floor, but we'll see what happens. So, let's see if we can't get this in frame. I'm looking okay at the same time. Hey, there we go. So, I got most of a bobbin now of my mystery, probably Shetland. So this was fiber that I ended up receiving from someone who was getting out of spinning, and so I was the recipient of her fiber stash, and this was cloud that I ended up using as combing practice when I had initially gotten my combs. So my combs came with a bound of fiber. I combed that turned into a yoga mat bag. And maybe something else too, I don't know. Then I ended up combing this, but then it ended up sitting for a really long time. So I decided to put it in my bin, spin it up, no big deal. And this goes through the camera without accidentally getting it out of frame. Here. We're just gonna move that out of frame. But a lot of progress, good progress this week. So I don't have too many balls left. So, oops, escaping. It's a really subtle sort of rusty color because the fiber was originally sort of red, brown, and yellow, and so then it sort of turned into this shade when I combed it all together. But you can, if you look at the individual fibers, they are different colors. Taking some of the Judith Mackenzie awesome spinning boxes. But I still have a whole nother third to spin, but I do have my first third done. So this is gonna fill a bobbin with sickles. So I'll just bring you a close-up here. It just looks all sort of, well, we can bring it close so you can see how it looks. So it's a little bit hairy, it's a little bit fuzzy. Then we bring it back for the color, and that's pretty true to color. So not my typical, I will probably dye it when I'm done. I definitely was spinning for a while earlier, and I ended up showing a picture, but it was a case where I could see exactly where my drafting zone was because I was having dye come off on my fingers. I got what I paid for. It was free. So I'll have to be careful when I wash it. Figure out how to get rid of that excess dye. Who knows? So, exciting week. That's all the stuff that I had to show you this week, so I got to talk about a bunch of different things. So let's see. Foolishly left my lacrosse ball in San Francisco, so I'm gonna either have to buy a new one or I don't know what else, something. I may just buy a new one. It was the case where I was trying to figure out what the appropriate sporting goods store brand was here, because that's not like I normally do that. There's some options, just shouldn't be too crazy. So that seems to be going well. I am not 100%, but I'm definitely much closer to that at this point. Have a lovely massage, whatever. I'm just excited to have more free time for the foreseeable future, so that's good. So I won't be able to record next week, but I will be able to record the week after. And I think the one after that, the Dear Sweet Local one's coming to me, so that'll be good. As you do. Let's see. Any other excitement? Yeah, no, I think I have, I'll have to figure some stuff out. But it shouldn't be too crazy. Or it's all easy things to do, so not too crazy. So things will be going a little bit slow till the end of the year, but would be not too crazy. Let's see, anything else I want to share? I think that's it. So, or would it be? I feel like I'm a long way from finishing anything, but whatever. Oh, I know. So, I will be hosting a knit along in Sock Knitters if you guys are interested in joining in. The theme of this knit along will be Not My Socks. And so I have cleverly selected this calico because I'm currently already knitting Not My Socks. So it may be the case where I actually knit some more socks. I don't know, I should probably knit socks during my knit along in Sock Knitters. So if you guys want to join in, The only rule is that they can't be for you. It was like, if the socks are for the knitter knitting them, then they don't qualify. So it should be fun. What would it be? I think there'll be some interesting discussion wrapped around figuring out how to, or what would it be? Not that I recommend it, but knitting surprise socks and resources for figuring out how to do that sort of thing. And so I think it'll be fun. What would it be? And it's always hard as you're sort of getting in the run up to like Christmas time for finding time to knit for yourself, and finding time to participate in CALs. So having a knit along that already fits in nicely with gift knitting, if you do so, makes sense. I gave up on knitting for Christmas quite some time ago. If people want knitting from me, I do it when I feel like it. And you know what? I like that a lot. Because if there is a deadline, it's not as much fun. That's just the way it is. So hopefully I can, hopefully that won't be too crazy to moderate. But I got what I asked for. I was like, hey, things are gonna be really uncertain, so I'll do my cal at the end. That worked great for me. So, oh well, such is life. We'll make it work. So, if you guys want to participate, I'm happy to have you guys scoot over there. I won't be hosting a knit along in my group. Unless there's some clamoring for something maybe in the new year. Like, but what would it be? You guys are pretty quiet, so. And at some point, I'm gonna have to knit those stupid dragons for the nephews, so that's not socks, but oh well, whatever. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.